Today, we're on the Potomac River in Charles County, Maryland, just a few short miles downstream from the nation's capital. Now, this is a kickoff for the Bassmasters Top 100 Pro-Am Tournament Trail. And I guarantee you the action is fast and the weather wild, complete with hurricanes and smashing cold fronts. I'm Ray Scott for the Bassmasters. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Gateway to the nation's capital, just a few miles upstream from Charles County, Maryland. Scattered up and down this river are 100 top bass pros and 100 amateurs, lucky enough to be drawn for this $230,000 competition. It's the kickoff for the Bass Angler Sportsman Society's Top 100 Trail, and for many pros, the start of their Bassmasters Classic goal. Qualifying for the World Championship this season is different. Pros may fish either the BASS Invitational Trail, the Top 100 Tour, or both. 20 anglers from the Invitational route advance to the Classic, and 15 pros from the Top 100 Trail will earn invitations to the World Finals scheduled in mid-August on the James River near Richmond, Virginia. 5 other qualifiers come from the BASS Federation to round out the 40-man field. While the Potomac is a fertile bass fishery, the Charles County, Maryland area, too, is rich in historic sites. Like St. Ignatius Catholic Church, the oldest active parish with a continued pastorate, founded in 1642. And General William Smallwood's Retreat, where Revolutionary War notables met, including George Washington. Washington's Mount Vernon is also part of this tidewater community. But in this first ever BASS Potomac tournament, these Bassmasters are more intent on making history than reliving it. And since this river was cleaned up and the grass came, it's become a bass factory. In fact, locals claim it's the best bassin anywhere. This lunker that Tennessee's Mike Bartlett is fighting is proof there's big-headed bass here. The spinnerbait caught bass will weigh in at 5 pounds 4 ounces, largest for this first day's competition. The Top 100 format pairs a professional with an amateur. The pro decides where to fish and operates the boat. His partner must fish from the back. The bass are biting, as Texas Bassmaster John Hale knows. He caught his 5 bass daily limit quickly and is now culling smaller bass. Now it's weigh-in time at Charles County Smallwood Park, and a well-known pro comes to the scales.
Now, with a limited bass, Paul Elias of Mississippi, Laurel, Mississippi, with a limited bass, solid catch. Isn't it amazing? You could drop them off in Russia, just outside the Kremlin, find a wet spot, and they catch a bass. Amazing. Reading Bassmaster really pays off. 17 pounds and 3 ounces. Folks, we have a new leader, and what a leader. Bingo. Paul Elias.
The first day's competition is over, and Mississippi's Paul Elias is at the top. But 3 more days remain to determine the $45,000 winner. Besides history and fishing, there's another reason to visit this tidewater area, Maryland's famous steamed crabs. One of the popular stops is Captain Billy's Crab House near the Potomac. And today, Captain Billy Robertson himself does the fixin'.
Okay. Most of these here are out of this week. All nice fat-sized crabs. One of them's trying to quickly holding on.
And into the steamer they go. And now the seasoning.
This is the seasoning that we use to cook our crabs with, special prepared for us.
The crabs will steam for about 20 to 30 minutes.
Cook our crabs with.
And now they're ready.
Crabs are now done. Pretty good go there now. What we're going to do is start assorting the larger size as we get orders for. We're getting this done, the crabs getting out to go. This lady getting these crabs will enjoy these here.
Captain Billy steams some crabs for our Bassmasters television crew.
All right, fellas. Here they are.
The question is, though, how to eat the critters. Here's how, Maryland style.
All right. Tom, you keep this one off of here. All right? Yeah, you pick that one right there. Okay, everybody get a cramp here now. All right. Now, this is the lesson of starting right off to pull it back off of here. Hey, wedge like.
Oh, I got you.
Just pull it right off.
I got you.
Okay. Now.
The Bassmasters will be right back from Charles County, Maryland, and the Top 100 Pro-Am. Don't go away. Day 2 of the Maryland Top 100 Pro-Am. The weather is forecast to be good, and the bass are biting. During this late September tournament, topwater lures are effective, but not all the bass are big enough to take a trip to the scales, as Missouri pro Stacy King well knows.
I can get those guys in.
John Hale in second place this morning is catching bass, and his are tournament size, 12 inches or longer. He's been fishing topwaters when the tide is low and the vegetation heavily matted on top. As the tide comes in and covers the thick weeds, he switches to plastic worms. And how's tournament leader Paul Elias doing?
Here, fishy fish. Woo, woo, woo. Golly, he bit it. Why was not he there? That was a perch. But he knocked slack in the line.
The anglers are scattered up and down the Potomac, clear to Washington, D.C. For those not doing so well, like Paul Elias, there's hope for a better tomorrow. But this local weed control activity might prove a big problem in Paul's strategy. His fish holding structure is being mowed down. There's also a different fly in tomorrow's catch-up ointment, an approaching hurricane called Hugo. The forecast isn't good, but there's fish to weigh in today.
3 ounces, folks. Let's give a nice hand. If John Hill, that's going to put you in the lead. Now, what happens tomorrow if it storms?
Well, if with the rotation of the hurricane, that wind probably come out of the southeast. If it's east-southeast, I can fish. If it's anything from south, southwest, west, it'd be pretty tough. I've got some other areas that I haven't touched. I fished the same little area for 2 days. Got a lot of fish. I had on about 20 fish today, and I only put 7 in the boat, fishing some thick moss, and I don't know. It's just losing a lot of big fish.
And now this morning's leader weighs in.
Paul Elias with 17 pounds and 3 ounces yesterday brings in another limited bass today, and it appears they're going to be good fish. Whether he can hold the lead will be determined by just how the ounces and pounds drop. And we'll drain the water. He has 5 bass, not as heavy by far as yesterday, but I suspect he's going to have close to 10 pounds. Watch the scales. 12 pounds and 2 ounces, and I believe that's going to put you just out of the lead. Am I correct, Bob Cobb? Now, what's going to happen tomorrow with a storm?
The wind's going to blow.
Yeah, 20 to 40, maybe more.
I don't know. I'm going to go fishing and catch some more fish. It was tough today for me. I only got 8 bites all day.
What happened to your fishing spot today?
Well, it wasn't like my wife. When I go back home, my wife's home, but my fish wasn't. But now there's some guy out there that's got some kind of grass baler, and he's running through our area a little bit there, and he said he's going to mow it down tomorrow, so I don't know what's going to happen. But I guess it's some kind of contractor that's plowing up grass, and it's not very good. It's not too good a deal for me.
What happens tomorrow depends on what happens with Hurricane Hugo's path. And these Bassmasters will be glued to the television tonight.
It was expected to turn Hugo north over land. Forecasters here expect the hurricane to move through the Carolinas to Washington, past Philadelphia, over New York, and back out to sea through Cape Cod.
The Bassmasters will be right back from the BASS Top 100 at Charles County, Maryland. Stay tuned. Long night for BASS Tournament Director Dewey Kendrick and his staff. What to do in the face of Hurricane Hugo. As competitors ready for today's fishing, ears are tuned to the weather.
I'd love to compete, but I think if it's in fear of life or obviously, you know, the high winds and stuff, I think it should be at least delayed or maybe just called off.
And some, like veteran pro Rick Clunn, make their feelings known.
I may show a little inconsistency. You know, my opinion about canceling tournaments, I think we shouldn't do it. But I'm going to show a little bit of inconsistency here because that's under conditions that most of us have dealt with for 15 years, like cold fronts and things like that. This is not a cold front, this is a hurricane, and very few of us have fished in a hurricane. So.
Although Dewey Kendrick must make the final decision to cancel today's competition, the BASS Tournament Advisory Board is consulted.
The latest forecast now, they got a small craft advisory on the Potomac, 3+ feet of surges for the tide this afternoon starting before 2 o'clock. They're calling for 50+ mile-an-hour winds. Okay, we got 200 lives out there. I would not call the whole tournament because tomorrow they're looking at 15 mile-an-hour to 20 mile-an-hour winds. But I want everyone in here because it's y'all's lives. Y'all the one that, you know, if you've ever been in 50 mile-an-hour winds on the water, you know what to expect.
One day of fishing is not worth it from my standpoint. I would like to fish, but I just think it would be a bad deal to turn all these guys loose out there. It's going to be bad, like Clunn said. We don't know what the tides and all the hard rain. You're not even going to be able to see. If you can't see, you can't fight waves.
I don't think we ought to risk anybody's life to go out there and fish, regardless of money or
I think this is part of the sport now. We got to be careful about people's lives. There's too many people involved in it.
You know, I don't feel like we should go. It's not worth one life. Now, we know about cold fronts, and we know how to handle 20, 25, 30 mile-an-hour winds. But I'm going to tell you, gentlemen, 50 mile-an-hour winds with gusts to 70 is what they're saying.
I don't want to go out there and, you know, I want to go somewhere today that it might get real bad and can't get home. And I don't feel like putting my amateur in, you know, in a situation that he don't want to be in. And I don't want to be put in a situation of trying to get back from beaching the boat.
I'm going to make a decision, but I want you to support me and I want you to back me up on it.
I think all of us are behind you. Anybody who's got any brains at all, I think we're behind you anyway.
The schools have been canceled, and it is a unanimous decision with the advisory board that we cancel today.
There's a whole lot more at stake here than who wins this tournament. I mean, there could be lives endangered, and the National Weather Service has issued warnings, and I think it's only wise to heed to those warnings.
This tournament day is history, but the forecast doesn't materialize as Hurricane Hugo steers northwest away from the Potomac. However, there's still one day left. The final round. The forecast, light to moderate winds with a cold front expected this afternoon. While some anglers are catching bass, like Tennessee Bassmaster Glenn Pfeiffer and Oklahoma pro Tommy Biffle, others are having problems. Angler of the Year Gary Klein has moved upriver to near the end of the Washington National Airport runway, but that's not working either. 1988 Bassmasters Classic champion Guido Hibden climbed from 16th to 4th, and here's what he's doing.
I just been fishing these pads at there's a shallow bunch of pads here, and it's got 7-8 foot of water that runs right up to it. The boat's setting in 7 or 8 foot, and it just tapers right up to it. Been catching the fish, they've been about a foot on the inside of the pads, but that mud has moved in here now where I don't know. They might have moved on back here in the creek. They've moved some, I'm sure. I've been using a 5/16 Stanley jig with a Guido bug crawdad on it, and just basically fishing real slow, trying to get it in front of one.
There's no question Guido has the right stuff when it's come from behind time. The bass bite, but as the day progresses, the weather changes. The wind blows harder and harder, turning the river into an ocean. Even here in the protected area of Smallwood Park, fishermen are having problems as the final weigh-in begins.
Mr. Talon is a man you perhaps remember that invented the rat that you saw on television and sold so many million lures. Here he is, and look at his weight. 12 pounds, 5 ounces. Mark it.
Not yet. Don't count them to hold the fish.
Huh?
You know about them little chickens and the eggs?
How's that?
You don't count them.
Don't count them till it's over.
That's right.
All right, well, you've got a beautiful bunch of fish.
Hold the fish up.
Pull a couple of these big bass up. These are beautiful fish. Lord, you've done yourself proud for the folks at Alabama. There you are, folks. Let's hear it.
Now Louisiana pro Jack Haynes, who started in 10th place this morning.
He was in 10th place. Jack Haynes has 5 bass, all alive, a good weight it is. 12 pounds, 4 ounces. Let's give Jack Haynes a good hand. Let's go put him up there. Good going, Jack.
The wind blows and the rains come as Guido Hibden weighs in.
Come in the house with warm. Folks, it's Guido Hibden. Your full last angle of the year. Look at this beautiful catch, folks. 14 pounds, 9 ounces. Mark it, 14.9. 14.9. Now, this puts you in the lead, Guido. Step up here, and I want you to pick up a couple of these fish and talk to me. So listen, you had the toughest conditions I think I've ever recalled in any tournament. With Hugo blowing on both sides, and how in the world did you manage to catch these fish?
I had one little old spot. I just stayed with them and just kind of hammered them out.
What lure are you using?
I was using a 5/16 black and blue Lonnie Stanley jig and a Guido bug.
And that was it. That was it. How many fish did you catch total? You've got a total of 5 here, of course.
I had 7 that I caught today. It just, I didn't think I was going to be able to get back where I was fishing at.
How far were you from here?
About 8 miles, but it's all open water. And it was tough. There was waves out there I've never seen before.
I tell you, the ranger pulled you through, didn't it?
That 390 will do it every time.
Oh, beautiful boat. That's a great catch. Congratulations for your lead. You may win this tournament.
Thank you.
All right. Nice hand, folks. Guido Hibden.
This top 100 is over. There's only one item left on the agenda.
This would go to a man that's just like everybody in this crowd sort of dreamed of making a living. Or even surviving would have been a bargain in the days when we all dreamed about getting into fishing full time, just getting by. But he's done more than getting by. He's won 2 of our previous Bassmaster Classic tournaments. And that wasn't enough. Just last year, about 13, 14 months ago, he won the Bassmaster Classic in Richmond, Virginia. And here, in the shadow of those victories and the glories and all the greatness that goes with it, goes another victory. And for that, we want to salute our winner of this tournament, Mr. Guido Hibden. Let's have a nice hand for Guido. Guido, listen, boy. You have a check for, you've got 43 pounds and 13 ounces, a check for $25,000, and the rest is
a Ranger 374 valued at $20,000, so it's $45,000 first place. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Well, I tell you what, it's like Ray said, you know, I've been very fortunate in this sport. I was fortunate enough to win the Classic last year, and I kind of been on a roll here lately. You know, I've been fishing good. I haven't been losing too many fish. I went through that for a while, and I kind of quit thinking about it and started just fishing hard. That's all I've been doing. We're all very fortunate. I thank the God that all of us got in today, you know, because I come through some water that I couldn't believe that anybody could come through.
Right now, it's time for the Pros Pointer, the how-to section of the Bassmasters. Brought to you by Wrangler, the most comfortable jeans known to man.
I guess the age-old question is when you use pork and when you use plastic. And I'm not real sure that I have a real good answer. I guess in the wintertime, you know, the old myth has always been to use pork, you know, in the wintertime when the water is cold. And I still use pork a good bit, but I use the Guido bug probably more than I do any. And the competition level anymore, you know, is getting so stiff that you have to use some sort of bait to catch bigger fish. You know, that's while we've been sitting here talking, this frog is already drying out. The tails get real stiff on them. And that's one thing that you don't have to never worry about whenever you use a plastic trailer, because they'll stay soft all the time.